Hi there, I'm Win Perdini, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to set up the brand new Google Ads tag in Server-Side Tag Manager, and this will improve the reliability of data that you're uploading to Google Ads, and in turn will improve the profitability of your ad campaigns. So the first thing that we need to do is to grab the conversion ID and the conversion label for the conversion in question. So in order to do that, you need to log into your Google AdWords account. This one that you're seeing here is a test account, and in order to get to this conversion screen here, you click on Tools and Settings. Under the measurement column you'll see conversions, click on that, and then you want to set up conversion. Once you've done that, click into it and you'll be given some options. We're looking for tag setup, which is this tab here. Click on that, you'll see a drop down appear. And then we have three options. The one that you want is use Google Tag Manager. And once you do that, you'll see there's some information here. You've got the conversion ID and the conversion label. So if I just copy both of those pieces of text here and I put them into my notepad, then I can grab those in just a second. And I have two containers that run side by side for any particular project. We have Google Tag Manager Browser, which is the old Google Tag Manager, and that runs in the browser. We also have Google Tag Manager Server now, which is the new product that was released at the end of 2020, along with Google Analytics 4. And they run really in tandem. Those two products are meant to work together, and I'll show you how that works right now. So the first thing we need to do is to create a couple of new tags. So if we go to the tag section in Google Tag Manager Server, click on New, and I'm going to give this the name Google Ads or GAds Conversion Linker. And then from the tag configuration drop down, I now see that there is a new tag called Conversion Linker. Click on that, and we want to trigger this on every page view, right? So you also notice that there's a new trigger called All Pages. We configure that, click Save. Don't worry, this is not going to fire off an event on every page, but it potentially could if you wanted it to. All it's doing is it's making sure to listen on every single page view. The next step, once again, click New again. This time we're going to create the actual Google Ads conversion tag itself. Give it a name. From the tag conversion configuration drop down, this time choose the new Google Ads conversion tracking tag, and now you'll have a couple of options here to put in the conversion ID and the conversion label. Now you can copy and paste these directly into here if you want. It's up to you. But a better way of doing this is to create some new variables. So I'm going to go into my setup and create a new variable. And I'm going to call this GAds Conversion ID. And for the variable configuration, I'm going to click on constant. And now our value goes in there. So we've got the wrong value there. Let's make sure it's got the right one. Okay, save. Now same thing for the conversion label. I'm going to click on that little Lego plus symbol and plus again in the top right hand corner, and this time this is called GAds, and it's going to be the conversion label. But I want to go a little bit further than that. Now, let's say for instance that I'm tracking Google Ads conversions for more than one event. So for each conversion, you're going to have a unique label. So it's important that you give this some kind of meaningful name. I'm going to call this Generate Lead. And once again, I'm going to select a constant, and I'm going to give it that conversion label value here, right? Save. Now I have the conversion ID and I have the conversion label, and that's enough information for Google Ads to now successfully attribute the conversion to the right ad, the right ad set, and the right campaign. And because this is running through Google itself, there's enough smarts in this system that will now take any event data that's being sent through Google Tag Manager browser. So you can see in my setup here that I have events getting sent through to the Google Ads pixel, and it will look at the data that's coming through from that pixel, and it will also look at the data that's coming through from Google Tag Manager server now, and it will understand that they're the exact same conversion event. So you're not getting a double up of your conversion data. Now, a couple of things to also point out here is that you've got other possibilities. Now, if you're driving an e-commerce site, then you can send through product sales data. You can also send through customer data through this, as long as you've got the permission to do so, and you've got some kind of privacy permission management system. We won't cover that in this particular video, but I want to point out that that capability is there, and it can be set up with a little bit of manipulation. Okay, so we've got conversion linking. Make sure that that's set to true, and I also want to point out that you can set up some other custom metadata properties here as well. Okay, so that's enough. It's a very simple setup. Like I said, there's only really two pieces of data that we're setting through. You can do the extra steps of setting up the variables like I've pointed out here, which is always the best practice. It's always good to use the variables wherever possible to keep your Google Tag Management set up a lot cleaner. Okay, so I save that, but now it's asking for a trigger. So there's one more piece of data to add. And what we're going to do here is to create a new trigger. So I'm going to call this event. And once again, I'm going to be tracking a generate lead event in my system. You can track add to cart events, purchases, whatever kind of events that you want to. All right, so in our trigger configuration, I'm going to click on custom event here. And then in the drop down, I'm going to select generate lead, because that's the event that I'm going to be tracking. Okay, so now I've got a trigger, and that's sending off data to Google. Going to save that, and let's just have a quick recap on the pieces that we've put in place here. So go to overview. So the first thing that we've done is we've grabbed the conversion ID and the conversion label from Google Ads. We've set them up here. You can see these two new variables here. We've created a couple of new tags. First of all, the conversion linker, that's linking up things between the browser and the server. So this is really, really important that you have this in there. If you don't do this, it's not going to work properly. And we've got Google Ads firing off the conversion ID and label to Google. And lastly, it's triggering on an event stream that's coming from Google Ads, Google Analytics 4. And this is running in the browser, and I'll show you that in a moment. And it's listening for a specific event that's being sent through. So this is my Google Tag Manager browser setup, and I have two tags, one for the basic configuration of Google Analytics 4 and one for the conversion events that are coming through. Okay, so let's talk about each one briefly. So in the configuration setup, we need to put in our Google Analytics 4 account ID. And this will look something like the example that's given here that says G-ABC123. Each account has a unique value there, but they all start with G- when it comes to Google Analytics 4. Now for Universal Analytics, it says UA-. So they've changed the way that the ID strings look now. The second thing that you'll notice in here is something called the transport URL. I'm not going to go into how to set up Google Tag Manager server in this video. I'll probably cover that at a separate time. But you have what's set up, what's called this transport underscore URL, and that'll be the URL that you've got Google Tag Manager server set up on. And instead of sending the analytics data straight to Google Analytics 4, what it's telling the system is to not send it there, but instead to send it through to your server. And that's a benefit because if it's sent from your server, it's much more likely to get through to, Google Analytics 4 in case the visitor that's on your site has some kind of anti-tracking set up. Next one is Google Analytics 4 conversion. So I have a tag called that. And now this will send the events through to Google Analytics 4 and the specific events that I'm listening for. So I have my system configured to listen for events to do with lead generation. Now, if you're running a shopping cart, then you'll be more interested in events like add to cart, checkout, and purchase. And the way we add an event in the system is just like on the Google Tag Manager server. We add what's called a custom event, and then we give it a name. And the event names that I like to use are typically standard events for Google Analytics 4. And in this case, I'm using the name generate_lead for this event. Okay, so once you've got all your events set up that way and you're listening for those, then your system will send those conversion events through to your server with whatever data that you've got set up for the event parameters. Now, most of the data that you see here is to do with Facebook CAPI. This video is not about Facebook CAPI, so I'm not going to go into any of that. But the one piece of information that we're sending through that is important for this particular application is first_party_collection, and this must be set to true. And why this is important is because if you don't set this up properly, then the system, the Google Analytics 4 tag will actually ignore some of the data, and it won't get through to your Google Tag Manager server. Right, so once you have those two tags set up, that will enable the conversion linker to happily manipulate data on the browser and the server and to make sure that it meshes up. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. If you have any questions about the concepts that I've covered today, please leave them in the comments box. Also, if you'd like to discuss your project, you're welcome to book a free 15-minute call with me. And lastly, if you found this video useful, please leave a like. It does help others who are looking for the same answers to find this content.